Welcome to the Impactful Entrepreneur Show with Adrienne Hill, a place for online business industry expertise and thought leadership, where you can build the skills, structure, and systems you need to thrive in business and have a lasting impact in your industry. Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another amazing speaker session. I am here with the internationally acclaimed and award-winning online marketer, 3 times best-selling author, top podcaster, and speaker, Scott Aaron. He's the go-to specialist when it comes to converting traffic, establishing connections, generating leads, and creating sales and building personal brands, all using LinkedIn. So fully immersing himself in learning LinkedIn and social media strategies, Scott quickly gained traction as a leader in generating big results for other entrepreneurs, online business owners, and business coaches. So Scott is passionate about helping fellow entrepreneurs achieve success while building their own network organically and without any complicated and costly marketing tactics. His program has helped thousands experience explosive growth following his proven system and strategies. People-focused and results-driven, Scott's strategic approach to teaching others how to create wealth online and organic traffic is a game changer when it comes to competing in a saturated digital world. And that's exactly where we live today. So of course we had to have Scott. Welcome, Scott. We're so excited to have this time with you.
Well, Adrienne, grateful and honored to be here, and just appreciate the time that I'm given to talk to your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know LinkedIn is one of those platforms that it's interesting, depending on who I talk to, it's like the hidden gem that's like the center of their business, or it's like the forgotten about cousin that they haven't thought about at all. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
So we probably have a mix of those folks in the audience. So before we jump into all of the LinkedIn goodness, do you want to tell us just a little bit about your story and like, how did you end up carving out all this knowledge on LinkedIn specifically?
Yeah. So I was a traditional brick and mortar business owner, and I owned 3 different health clubs. I was a personal trainer, sports nutritionist, corporate wellness speaker, and I was very busy. I mean, I was working 70, 80 hours a week, trading time for dollars. And in 2013, started to get into the online wellness space. And I was building my own online wellness business. And, I quickly saw that Facebook and Instagram were really good for visibility and kind of keeping people up to date on what was going on in my life and entertaining, so to speak. But it really wasn't translating into the right type of clientele that I was looking for. And it was a culmination of 2 different things. First, I was at a personal development convention, and the person that was running it had all these people come up on stage, and very wildly successful entrepreneurs, all multiple 6- and 7-figure business owners. And he was just very transparent and asking them, like, how many conversations have you had to have to acquire the clients and grow the business that you've been growing? And I didn't hear a number smaller than 7,000 conversations. And I said to myself, if I'm going to continue to lean on Facebook and Instagram, I'm never going to get to those numbers, which means I'm never going to get my business to where I wanted it to be. The other thing that kind of happened was I was thinking about how much time I really wanted to spend on social media. And I didn't want to go down the scroll holes. I didn't want to post and pray and spray and do all those things that people were doing. And I always wanted to be different, right? I have the analogy of being a salmon in a world of fish. So I remembered that I had an account on LinkedIn that I opened up in 2009, and it basically was collecting dust ever since. So the old me thought, that's for recruiters. That's where people go to look for and find a job. Can't be business on there. And it so happened that when I jumped back on there towards the end of 2013, the platform completely shifted. It was more about connecting. It was more about networking, passing business back and forth. 80% of the people on LinkedIn are acquiring money and investments from the 20% that are spending. And I said to myself, do I want to be on the 20% side, or do I want to be on the 80% side? So I said, I want to be on that 80% side. So I started getting in there, and I changed my profile around. I started using the search engine to connect and message. And I started to book call after call after call. I mean, my calendar was flooded with appointments. And thus, I started to grow my business, and it started to really grow and scale. And now this is kind of like early to mid 2014. It ramped up really quickly. Mm-hmm. So I remember I reached out to a buddy of mine who suggested me, why don't you look at LinkedIn? And I said, dude, you were right. Like, this is a gold mine. I'm like, you got to get on there. So at this point, I created a system unknowingly of how I was using it. So I'm like, here, I want you to do A, B, and C. Mm-hmm. So he did. And about 2 weeks later, he texted me, and the text said, call me. So I did. And I said, what's up? And he goes, dude, listen, whatever you figured out with LinkedIn, it works. He goes, I have 14 appointments booked this week with ideal clients. He goes, so I don't know what this is or how you figured it out, but you should be teaching this. And then it was like light bulb moment. Some of the greatest businesses, courses, programs that are created are based off of two things. Number one, proving the concept yourself first.
Yep.
And number two, looking for and acknowledging a gap in business. And I saw that there was a huge gap in business, namely generating leads and getting qualified buyers.
Yeah.
And because when I was looking at the numbers of Facebook and Instagram, where the average age and income was 18 to 29 years old with a yearly income of $30,000 a year or less, compared to that of LinkedIn, which was 30 to 55 with a yearly income of $100,000 a year or more, it just made sense. So at that point, I said, you know what? I'm going to continue to be a salmon in a world of fish. I'm going to lean in on what this platform is. And whoever wants to come along for the journey and the ride, there's plenty of room in my car.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I love that story. I mean, and it's so true. It always, the biggest opportunities are born out of those moments where you, like, out of frustration, you try something and it actually works.
Yeah.
Now, the hard part is systematizing it to the point that you could teach it to someone else. Like, there's a special magic that happens in that. And clearly you figured that out, because very quickly, I mean, you were having results, your friend was having results, and now literally dozens and hundreds of other people you've helped to get results as well.
Well, don't forget, at that point, I had 15 years of experience writing programs for clients, but, they were wellness programs, they were dietary programs, they were workout programs. So I had already understood the framework of building out a success plan for people. Yeah. I just had to build it out leveraging LinkedIn. And at this point, especially where the online space is right now, and the digital space and the digital age where we are, it's not slowing down, it's only speeding up. Mm-hmm. But and this is the honest to God truth, and people disagree with me all the time, but there are more people that agree with me now than disagree. If they don't start leveraging LinkedIn and have some sort of presence on there from a personal branding and marketing standpoint, they may not be where they ever want to be in their business, because Instagram and Facebook are constantly shifting in the direction of the personal side of things, as opposed to the business side of things, where LinkedIn has always and will continue to be all about business all day, every day. And the fact of the matter is, you need to be on a platform where there is connection happening, where there are conversations and there are conversions into one's business. So the longer that you wait to leverage LinkedIn, which is the lead generation of your business, that is the lead generation arm. Without leads, there is no business. So the clients that we've worked with that have added thousands, hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, millions of dollars a year of revenue, it's not that they're doing anything fancy. They're just following a strategy that I created and taking action on it.
Mm-hmm. And that's such a good point. I had always heard that Facebook didn't want you doing business on your personal profile. Like, that's why they created business pages, right?
Well, they don't. They're shutting accounts down now.
I've heard that. I mean, for the longest time, it was just like they said it, but they never really enforced it. I've been hearing more and more about them actually enforcing it. And they even catch a sniff of you dropping hints about business on your personal page, and suddenly you lose it. And so I think there's absolutely merit to that. So if you're watching this and you had not heard of that and you didn't realize that was happening, you might want to listen up. So I know there's this perception that LinkedIn is just full of like stuffy business people who their they're there to talk about their career, their job. They're not there for business. But what would you tell us after living in the LinkedIn world for a while? Who's really hanging out there? And are there people interested in, business, health and wellness, like all these different niches? Are they open to opportunity over there on LinkedIn?
That's why people are there. They're there to connect or collaborate or both. So if your calendar is not filling up with qualified prospects and potential clients, you're just wasting your time on social media. I don't care how great your content is or how long of a post you're making on Facebook and Instagram. If it's not translating into business, if it's not leading to people reaching out to you to get onto a call, if you're just getting likes and comments and that's where it stops, you're wasting your time. Yeah. And it's nice that people are engaging with you, but you need to get things from online to offline. And again, that's what LinkedIn is all about. The magic is not what you see on LinkedIn. It's what happens offline that no one else can. And that's the big thing. So if you really want your business being moved forward in the right way, you're going to have to start working smarter and not harder. And it's so funny because I think everybody knows now how much Facebook and Instagram have changed. People would admit that, but they're so addicted to the FOMO, right? Well, if I stop doing what I'm doing on Facebook and Instagram, I may miss an opportunity. Listen, if you haven't had an opportunity for the last 4 or 5 years, it's not going to change anytime soon. Now, I haven't abandoned Facebook and Instagram. I'm still on there daily. I just use those platforms for what they're best used for. Facebook is where you share your personal life. Instagram is where you entertain, and LinkedIn is where you drum up business. So if you leverage all 3 platforms the right way, you're going to have a well-oiled machine. And that's exactly what we teach people. Don't abandon Facebook. Don't abandon Instagram. Use them for what they're best used for, and put your time, energy, and effort to spending 20 minutes a day on LinkedIn, drumming up more leads, more conversations, conversions, and revenue into your business.
So I want to grab onto something you just said just now that I think maybe might be surprising to people. You're not kidding. This is truly a 20-minute process, or it could be.
I mean, it's less for me now just because it's my system, but the basis of what people learn, whether it be my virtual program or working with me one-on-one, it's based around a simple 20-minute a day routine by hand. You don't need automation, which you shouldn't have any on there because, again, part of the user agreement is you can't use any VA to log in as you to do work for you, and you can't use any software that connects and messages for you. You can use automation, like posting tools. Like we have our own posting platform, so you can schedule content, but the main frame of what you need to be doing as far as connecting and messaging, that has to be done by hand. And that whole methodology, I've created something called the 20-minute a day routine. Then that's what I teach people of how to do.
Okay. Because I know I've talked to a lot of people, they avoid the platform because they think it's going to take a lot of time. And so I'm hearing it really doesn't need to. If you're following the right system, it doesn't need to take a lot of time.
Yeah, it's the farmer's mentality rather than the hunter's mentality. So you get on there in the morning, you do the necessary things to grow your business, grow your conversations, and you go about your day. You want to spend more time working on your business, not working in your business. And LinkedIn really gives you the freedom to do just that.
I love that. Now I know there's lots of layers we could unpeel to kind of get to the heart of what works on LinkedIn. Like I know for me, I cleaned up my profile, right? Like even I know a lot of expert marketers, even people who are really good at what they do. They're cleaning up their profiles, they're positioning themselves just right, but they're still not getting results. So like what might be missing for a lot of people? Like let's peel back the layers a little bit and talk about what might be going on underneath.
Well, the first thing that you have to understand is that nothing will work on LinkedIn unless you do have your profile set up and optimized the right way. Okay. And I've said this in prior interviews that when Microsoft purchased and bought out LinkedIn about 7 years ago, they took the technology of search engine optimization and SEO, keyword searching, and they embedded that all within our profiles. But for people that don't use the platform and have ignored it, they would never know that. So they just kind of wondered why they always never appeared in searches and no one was visiting their profile because you weren't leveraging it the right way. your LinkedIn profile is in some ways a better optimization tool than the homepage to your website. If you were to Google yourself, and I challenge all you watching this right now to do this, Google yourself, and you will notice that one of the top search results of your name is your LinkedIn profile. Sometimes your website isn't even listed on page one. So for me, my website is scottaaron.net. But when I search my name, my LinkedIn profile comes up before that. So you have to understand that you are going to get unbelievable visibility if you optimize your LinkedIn profile the right way, having the right keywords. So you always need to think about something that I call the passenger side perspective. So whenever you're optimizing anything, whether it be your website, whether it's a landing page, your LinkedIn profile, you have to be thinking about how should I set this up in a way where my ideal client avatar would then find me. So you have to put yourself into the shoes of the person on the other side of the screen. So what are the keywords that I need to have listed in my headline? Where, again, LinkedIn is a giant search engine. So that's why there's a search bar. That means it's a search engine, just like Google or Yahoo. So what keywords is my ideal client putting into that search engine that's going to allow my profile to populate in that search? Is it business coach? Is it marketing specialist? Is it lead generation coach? Is it podcast host? Is it summit creator? Whatever it is, you need to list those specific keywords in your headline. But in addition to that, making sure that you have those same things listed in your About Me section. So that's where you kind of share your journey of being in business, but also making sure the framework of your About Me section is telling your story, who you are, where you came from, what was the journey that you went on, how you help people, who you serve, in what way can you serve them, programs, courses, consulting, coaching, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then also sharing the journey of where you've gone to where you are right now in the experience section. Your experience section isn't a resume, right?
A lot of people use it that way.
And they use it just like a resume. You have to understand your experience section is your life and business timeline. So whatever is listed at the very top, that is the thing that you are currently promoting and doing right now. So if anyone was to go to my profile, you would see that my LinkedIn coaching is number one. Our mastermind is right under that. Our posting platform is under that, and we have courses and memberships and all those things. So I list all of those things in order of importance of what I want people to see. At the very, very bottom is the last gym that I closed 6 years ago. So I want people to see the entire scope of how I transitioned in business from gym owner, personal trainer, nutritionist, to author, to coach, to speaker, to consultant, and all of those things that I'm doing now. But also making sure that you show every aspect of your business journey, volunteer experience, your education, licenses and certifications, but also gaining recommendations. Recommendations for, more clarification are reviews. It's testimonials. It's where people share what they've learned from you or what results they got. And that is where your credibility is. So if anyone goes to my profile, I now have over 500 written recommendations on my LinkedIn profile. So there's 500 people that are all saying, yes, this guy knows what he's doing. So I don't have to sell anymore. I never really did sell. I connected, but I don't need to convince people that I know what I'm doing. They either have the money to invest in what I can teach them, or now's not the right time, but I'm still here for them. So you want to make sure that when someone stumbles upon your LinkedIn profile after keywording it the right way, that they're seeing your business credibility. So asking people to write you recommendations could be clients that you are working with, clients that you have worked with, ex-coworkers, current coworkers, family, friends, people that can speak to your personal and professional experience will help your credibility. So that's like the main layer of LinkedIn, getting that profile optimized that allows all the other layers, the network building, the messaging, the content creation to fall into place. Because if you take away that main layer, which is the optimization of your profile, the cake topples over.
Yeah. So fascinating. So many people use that kind of timeline or experience section as like, it's like a running resume, but you're saying it can be a storytelling tool. And you'll even list your programs, your courses, like books you've launched, like anything in there.
Podcast. Yeah, that's again, it's like a website. You want to list what it is that you do. People buy my books off of my LinkedIn profile. They set up discovery calls off of my profile. They visit my website, download my free gifts off of my LinkedIn profile. They register for workshops that we do off of my profile. You can leverage it in so many ways if you just dug in and made sure you were leveraging it the right way.
So now I know a lot of people talk about how YouTube and Pinterest are search engines, and that's what makes them unique. I didn't realize that so much of LinkedIn was SEO optimized as well. I mean, is every inch of your profile, like any from the timeline to the about section to like, it's all SEO?
All of it. I mean, so on your LinkedIn profile, there's a little bar that says your dashboard.
Yeah.
And on that dashboard, it actually shows you three specific things. Number one, it shows you how many profile views you've had in the last 7 days, how many impressions your posts have gotten. And on the far right is how many searches you've appeared in. And that's the key one. So if you click on that, so on average, I appear in about 200 searches per day. So you can imagine the traction of my profile. So if you click on that, it'll show you how many searches you've appeared in over a 7-day period, the companies of those that are, searching and finding you, who they work for, their job titles, but more importantly, LinkedIn will actually give you the data on the specific keywords that were punched into the search engine that enabled you to populate in that search.
Okay. So you know what's working for you and what's not.
So you can take those specific keywords that you want to appear more often in those searches, and then you start to re-embed them all throughout your profile. You start sprinkling them everywhere.
Yes. Oh, that's fascinating. So what I love about this, I mean, like I'm all about evergreen content and SEO driven platforms, right? YouTube is great, but it's all video. There's really no posts. Like they're trying to play in that area, but it's just not really taking off. It's basically just video. And then there's Pinterest. It's all these little images that you get a tiny bit of text and then you click away and it takes you off the platform. LinkedIn is the only one that's truly like a discussional feed. It has messaging. You could share a post, you could share a video, you can share a wide range of content. It's the only search engine that's really, really like the social media platforms that we've all fallen in love with. And it's full of business people who are open to opportunities.
I mean, if your ideal client is a business professional, is a high net worth individual, and you're that coach or consultant or entrepreneur listening to this and watching this, and you have a high ticket offering, whether it's individual one-on-one coaching or consulting, you have a mastermind, you have a group coaching program, you need to be playing in a sandbox of people that actually have the monetary means to pull the trigger and say yes. And you may be getting calls and bookings from Facebook and Instagram, but when it comes to the end of the day, how many times have you heard, yes, I would love to, but I can't afford it, but I don't have the money right now. So it's like, yeah, they want to work with you, but they can't. And I'm not saying they never will, but the likelihood of someone wrapping back around if it's outside of that first contact is very unlikely. So you want to make sure that, again, you're playing in that sandbox of people that actually can afford what you're offering the first time you talk to them.
Yeah. I mean, if we just boil it down and just get straight here, Facebook and Instagram is like the kids' table and LinkedIn is like the adults' table.
I mean, there's no better way to put it. Yeah. I mean, it's like going from high school to medical school. I mean, it's child's play. And that's not to downplay the people that are succeeding on Facebook and Instagram, but I then question, what is that success, right? Now, here's the other thing that I want to talk about. If you're watching and listening to this and you want some sort of overnight success story, you have to flush that down the toilet right now. It doesn't happen. I don't care who you're influenced by, what books you've read, what podcasts you listen to. If anyone is telling you that you can go from $0 to $1 million in 12 months, you're being lied to at this point. The fact of the matter is, everything that I believe in, everything that we teach is about the marathon method. And the marathon method is, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, it takes years and years and years of trial and error, failure and success to get to where you're going to be. So if you keep throwing money at things that you're hoping and praying are going to work because you see a great sponsored ad on Instagram or Facebook of someone saying, oh yeah, you can do this in 6 months, you can have a 6-figure launch with 0 audience, I'm sorry. You're throwing money and you're literally burning it in the fireplace. So if you switch your mindset and realize that it takes time to build something substantial, to find your tribe of buyers, to find that warm market of people that will buy everything you have to offer because they've been warmed up to you for the last few years, you can accomplish that on LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn is like, it's the long game. Like you said, it's the marathon, but a marathon's a lot easier to run when it's only 20 minutes a day. I mean, let's be honest, right? So consistency is key, but it's just in little slivers of time. And I'm hearing consistency and the long game is really where it's at with LinkedIn. But I do know, like, give us an example for those who are like starting to get inspired, but also wanting to temper their, have realistic expectations. I know you talked about streamlining your profile plays a huge role, right? In getting the SEO to activate and getting people to search you and find you. Can you give us some examples of people you've worked with of in the first, 3, 6, 9, 12 months of optimizing that profile? Like, how did their views climb? Like what is possible if you're starting to run that marathon?
Instant. I remember I had this one client a few years back. We made some adjustments to her profile. Didn't even get into the guts of the connecting and messaging and content creation portion of what I teach, just changed her profile. She messaged me 2 days later and she said, I just picked up a client. And she basically said it was all because of how her profile appeared in the search, where the person then clicked on it, read about what she did, and it filled a void that person was having in their business. They got on a call and she's like, how can I hire you?
Wow.
So when I mean instant, it's instant results. I mean, that's one case. It does take time. I had another person within 6 weeks doubled her investment in what I taught her. I had another guy after going through, and he had a very niche market. I mean, only Detroit, only commercial real estate professionals, closed a $350,000 sale in about 6 months, brought another $1.5 million of contracts into his business. And it all starts with your profile. If your profile is not optimized the right way, nothing of whatever else you're doing on LinkedIn, you can be connecting with the right people. You could be messaging great. You could be creating awesome content. But if it doesn't really go back and start with that optimization of your profile, nothing's going to fall into place.
Okay. So that really is the first gateway. You have to get that figured out, because otherwise you're attracting people. And then the minute they see your profile, you're just repelling them again.
Well, it all has to match. So, your profile has to speak to a specific clientele, which means you're going to be searching and connecting for those types of people, right? So whatever keywords you're putting into your profile are geared towards that ideal client, whether it's a female business owner or a podcast host or a book author. And you're going to basically start connecting and messaging those individuals that would be best suited for those that would view your profile and want to talk. Because again, people ask all the time. So I'll share some stats. So this one client shared some stats with me. So he said that he sent 260 connections. And of the 260 connections, 170 accepted, which is really good. It's like a 60% acceptance rate.
Yeah. From
the 170 connections, he then went through the messaging process, and he ended up booking about 30. He got 30 responses, which actually is about a 20% response rate. So you figure 2 out of every 10 people you message, you're going to get a response back, which is great. If you message 10 people a day, that's 10 calls a week. He said of the 30 people that responded, that led to 9 phone calls being booked. So almost a 35% message to booking ratio. All of that was really attributed to his profile, because for people to accept your connection request, it's really based upon what they're seeing on your profile. Because if you're connecting with them and that person that you're sending a connection request to is not seeing some sort of relatable connection point between you and them. So if I had a business where I helped nurses or something, people in healthcare, but on my profile, there was no mention of that. There was no mention of how I helped nurses or, I helped healthcare professionals. And it said, I was a personal trainer or I was an accountant. Why would that person accept my connection request, let alone respond to a message? So you have to understand that everything that you do starts with your profile, because that will dictate the amount of connections you get accepted, the amount of responses you get from your messages, and how many calls end up getting booked. So again, it all plays into each one of those layers.
Oh, that's incredible. So is that the basic flow? Like clean up your profile so that you can then connect with the right people, message all of them. And there's always a certain percentage of them who will respond to you favorably and hop on your calendar to learn what you do.
Yeah. I mean, the goal that I typically have for every client that I work with, whether they go through my course or, coach with me, I just want them to book one additional sales call a day. Mm-hmm. Because it's a numbers game for me. So you book one call a day from LinkedIn. That's 5 calls a week. That's 20 calls a month, right? Mm-hmm. 20 calls a month. If you are at a 20% close rate, you're picking up 4 new clients a month. So all of you that are watching and listening, think about with your offering, if you were closing 4 new sales a month just from LinkedIn, from what you're offering, how different would your business change? And it's that simple. Let those 16 people say no. Focus on the 4 that say yes. That's it. Because it is a traditional numbers game. So again, everything that you do should be from the perspective of how is this going to land on the right eyes of the right people? So, optimizing your profile, sending the connection request to the right people that fit your network, messaging them in a very genuine way, not looking to sell and pitch. Let's hop on a call. Let's learn about each other. Let's share what we're doing. How can we support one another? Like, be there just a network to connect, to build relationship, because relationships, rapport, and trust are what lead to business. And then when you're creating content on the platform, it's always from the perspective of how can I create a piece of content that's going to completely resonate with a pain point of my ideal client. Right. So everything you're not writing about, airy fairy, happiness, all that stuff, like, the drunkalogs you see on Facebook and Instagram. No, you want to get down and dirty. You want to get real, point out, the pitfalls, point out the gaps and holes in people's businesses and, give people tangible tips and takeaways, how to, 3 ways to improve this, where you're giving them free value. You can't expect people to give without you giving to them first, right? Mm-hmm. You have to give in order to get. So again, everything needs to be done from the perspective of that ideal client and how would they best respond if you were in their shoes.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about LinkedIn is people are there for networking. They're there because they're interested in opportunities in business. Like on a lot of other platforms, you kind of have to tiptoe around the business topics a little bit, like LinkedIn, you can just cut right out and just be straight with it.
Straight at people, straight at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're the kind of person who doesn't want to tiptoe around, LinkedIn might be the perfect place for you.
So I want to share something. My wife always texts me quotes and stuff that she hears on podcasts. And I wanted to share this with you. So she heard this on the Rework podcast.
Okay.
And the quote says, "You will not be a big hit right away. You will not get rich quick. You will not be so special that everyone will pay attention to you. No one cares about you yet. The overnight success stories that you've heard all about, that's not the whole story. Dig deeper and find that people or that person that have been busting their asses for years and years for things to take off. On the rare occasion, there's an instant success happening, but it's not usually sustainable because there is no foundation. Trade the dream of overnight success for the slow, measured growth. Hiring a PR firm or hiring a coach right off the bat isn't going to help you because you'll still be a no-name with a product no one cares about. Build your business, get customers, get clients, build your story. Great brands launch without PR campaigns all the time. Even Starbucks and Apple started from scratch and took time to build. So for the person that's listening to this, you got to start somewhere. And that's why I love how LinkedIn fits right into that, because it's where you can start picking up new clients. You can get your credibility. You can get your name out there so you get more organic recognition.
Mm-hmm. It's a great place for brand building and visibility. And because of the SEO, for reach as well.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Which you'd be hard pressed to find that many things on any of the other social media platforms, because they're all missing some critical element in that mix.
They're entertainment. They're entertainment, and they want you throwing money at them. They want you to invest. And the biggest names out there, the Amy Porterfields of the world, they've all been talking behind closed doors that the marketing tactics that worked for them about 8 to 10 years ago, and the money they were spending on Facebook ads, the ROI, it's not there anymore. Even they're scratching their heads in how do we build our audience? How do we connect with more people? And you know what? People still aren't talking about LinkedIn. And again, if people leverage it the right way, if they really get under the kimono of what we've been talking about, they will see how powerful this platform really is.
Yeah. I mean, my gut tells me, like you said, 80% of the users on there are not leveraging it to its full abilities. Like it is a hidden gem.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know the audience is probably like, everyone's thinking about their profile now. Oh my gosh, it's SEO intelligent. Like, I didn't know that. What, the timeline isn't your resume. It's a story. Like what? So everyone's probably trying to wrap their head around. Everyone's probably going to your LinkedIn and trying to reverse engineer what's in Scott Aaron's LinkedIn profile, right? But I know that you have a gift that can help the audience get started to nail the most important part of getting started on LinkedIn. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's the 6 steps to optimizing your LinkedIn profile. It's a 5 or 6 page PDF that I call the perfect profile. And, there's going to be a link provided by Adrienne where you guys can find it. It's,
I don't know, I think below. Yeah.
Right below. It's also on scottaaron.net, the homepage to my website. And it's going to give you the foundation and the infrastructure of what needs to be done section by section in order to fill out your profile the right way. I've also recently released a brand new book called The LinkedIn Book for Sales and Marketing. Yeah. And I called the second edition, but it's really the first edition. I reworked my original book that came out in 2018. But there's a whole chapter dedicated to your LinkedIn profile in there as well as some new features on LinkedIn. So there's a whole chapter on some new stuff, LinkedIn Creator Mode, where you can do LinkedIn Live, LinkedIn newsletters, LinkedIn audio rooms. There's a lot of great capabilities that LinkedIn is now giving the users.
Yeah. And we barely had time to touch on all these new features. Like I did see LinkedIn Live coming out, and it was clearly not released to everyone at once. So certain people were getting it, making use of it, but not a whole lot. What are tell us about some of the other new features really quickly, because I'm really interested to hear about those.
Yeah, so creator mode allows you to access 3 specific creator tools: LinkedIn Live, LinkedIn newsletters, and LinkedIn audio rooms. So you don't have to apply for LinkedIn Live anymore. You just have to turn creator mode on. It's a section on your profile. Okay. You just click on it and hit the on button. So you then just have to use a third-party streaming service such as Restream or StreamYard. I recommend StreamYard. Very self-intuitive and easy to use.
Yeah.
LinkedIn newsletters are awesome because you can actually build a newsletter list through LinkedIn. So they actually, when you create your newsletter, that's obviously SEO to your zone of genius. Mine is called LinkedIn Tips and Updates. So obviously, you know what it's going to be all about. They actually send an invitation out to your entire connection list to subscribe. So I have close to 6,500 subscribers to my newsletter on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn also emails each edition that you release, emails every subscriber personally to read that edition. Now, if you think about this from not only an SEO standpoint, but a list building aspect, you can include some sort of backlink in the edition of that newsletter where if they want to book a free call, sign up for my event, download my free gift. Now you can build your email list off of LinkedIn, emailing all of the subscribers to your newsletter. So it's an amazing feature. The LinkedIn audio rooms is something very, very new. That is LinkedIn's direct competition to Clubhouse. Mm-hmm. So you can actually host your own audio room where you can create an event, invite people to it, and you can have an open panel discussion via audio right from the mobile app. I haven't leveraged it yet. I'm trying to work it into my daily and weekly routine on LinkedIn, but it's something that I am going to be leveraging. So those are three of my new favorite features of the platform that I always recommend people to take advantage of. Wow,
that is fascinating. It's changed a lot just in the last few years, especially with the new, the audio room feature. I know Clubhouse was kind of hot and then it fizzled, but I could see that actually becoming a staple at LinkedIn, given the people that hang out there.
Yeah, because people were promoting their Clubhouse rooms on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn said, well, instead of people promoting it on here and then going over to Clubhouse, why don't we just create that for our own? So now people can host their own audio rooms right here. And that's what they did.
Well, I will definitely be watching you. And as you finish testing it and systematizing it, I'm going to link back with you. And I would like to hear what you learn about that.
I'll have plenty to report back.
I love it. I love it. I mean, LinkedIn has so much to offer. I think the audience is really excited. Now, I know I want to add in, I know you have a VIP gift for those people who have decided to scoop up the VIP ticket, the Perfect LinkedIn Profile Mini Training. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, so I do have a special gift. It's the 5 layers of LinkedIn mini training. So for people that want to kind of dive in a little bit deeper and they kind of want to take a more specific look of what LinkedIn is all about, I do have a mini course called the 5 layers of LinkedIn, which combines obviously the optimization of your profile, understanding how to build your network, booking sales calls, how to schedule them, and then creating content on LinkedIn as well.
So it's kind of like a sneak peek at your system that is clearly delivering big time for you and all your clients as well.
Exactly.
I love that. So guys, now that one is only for the VIP ticket holders. So if you have not scooped up your ticket yet, why don't you have a VIP ticket? Grab your ticket, grab that free gift, and then meet us inside the Facebook group. There will be opportunities to get all of your questions answered. If you have remaining questions and you're like kind of kicking me right now, how did you not ask this question? That's okay. You can ask the question inside the Facebook group. So we'll meet there. We'll have a conversation. And thank you so much, Scott, for being with us here today. This was awesome.
Yeah, and Adrienne, I will say that for the audience, that's typically a $179 product that I typically sell. There's going to be a coupon code for all of you guys that do get the VIP ticket from Adrienne. So it'll zero it out. So you'll get it for completely free. And the coupon code is 5 layers, all caps. And the number 5, not the word 5, but you'll get all the information to you guys. So those
I'll make sure it's
VIP
below
access. Yeah. Yep. You'll be able to get that right away.
Perfect. Oh, thank you so much, Scott. You're the best. And
absolutely.
We'll see you all in the Facebook group soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Impactful Entrepreneur Show. If you found amazing value here, like, subscribe, and leave us a review to help other people find the high value content that we share, and find us on social media so we can continue the conversation. See you in the next episode.